In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a retractable lightsaber with a holster in Roblox Studio. Okay, so before we begin, make sure that your avatar settings is on R6. And then make sure you have tool grip editor. If you don't have it, you can get it in the toolbox in plugins. Tool grip editor. And then just get the first one. But go ahead and start. We're going to put in a cylinder part, and we're going to scale it down like that, and then like that again. Make sure it's nice and lightsaber like, not too long, not too thick. And then you want to make it metal and make it for color black. Pretty good. Do a little bit shorter, and then duplicate that. Actually, name this one handle, and then name this one emitter. Put this one on top, shrink it down. Shrink it a little bit more, center it, shrink, center. Pretty good. Centered, pretty good. And then we'll duplicate this as well. Name this emitter part. Make the size 0.01, 0.01, and 0.01. Make sure you put that slightly inside of the emitter. And then we're going to duplicate the emitter again. Name this one belt, and put it on the bottom so it looks better. Pretty good. And now going to want to set the emitter part to transparency to 1, just so you can't see that because it's still a small part. It's kind of ugly if you see it. They shouldn't see it. And then we're going to want to insert the blade mesh. In the description there's going to be a model or a mesh, and then you want to insert that. I'm going to go ahead and put it in my toolbox. It might be pretty big. Scale it down. And when we're scaling it down, we want to make sure the Y size is 4.65 for later in the video. And then scale it, the Z and the X. And then put it on top. What the hell? And then you want to put that inside of the lightsaber emitter as well. Slightly inside, just like that. And then scale it over, put it in. Oh, pretty good. There we go. And you want to rename it to Blade for ease of use in the script. Change the color to whatever you want. I'm gonna use white and make the color neon. Pretty good. Yeah, and it's a little bit long. Scale that down. Put this together. Pretty good. Now you're gonna want to insert 4 motor 6Ds into the handle. We're gonna name the first one blade motor, second one emitter motor, third one emitter part motor, the fourth one is going to be the belt motor. These are our welds. We're gonna name or change the orientation, the blade motor, 90, 90, and then 0. Then you want to make sure the part 0 on all of the motors is the handle. Change all these, and then change the part 1 to their respective parts. So the blade motor is going to be the blade, the emitter motor is going to be the emitter, and the emitter part is going to be the emitter part, and the hilt is going to be the hilt. Now, off right does this. You have to rearrange the lightsaber again. Just put everything back where it was. The hilt back on the bottom. The emitter back on the top. Emitter part back in the emitter. And the blade slightly inside of the emitter. There we go. Everything looks good. Now you're going to want to insert a tool. We're going to name it Lightsaber. And you're going to want to put all of the parts inside of it. Now put it in the starter pack and it should work. Should be able to walk around. Oh, shit, goddamn. Alright, you want to make sure the tool grip is working. So just go in here real quick and there you go. Now it should be good. There we go. Now we're going to actually make the particles work so it has a little glow effect. Put it back in the workspace. And in the emitter part, we're going to insert a particle emitter. Go. Change the name to blade particles for later in the script. Go to the toolbox and we're going to go to images and search for a white circle polar image. Should be pretty good. And then pull this in, delete picture of the image, and then change the texture to texture we added. Change the light emission to 1, size to 0.2, and then or 0.25. Good. And make sure the emission direction is actually coming out the right side. Make the lifetime 0.6. The rate should be 150, and the speed should be 7.5. And make sure it's locked to the part so that it doesn't, when you move around, it doesn't move around. Stay on the part. That's everything. Yeah. Now put a local script in the lightsaber, and we're going to name it emitter script. First, we're going to get our services. It's going to be tween service. Go to service. Service. User input service. The starter GUI, so we can disable the backpack when we go to turn on the lightsaber. Now we're going to need our variables, the things that you can change if you want to. First, we're going to get the emitter toggle key. I'm going to have it as E. The easing style, basically when the tween goes to emit and close it, it's going to the easing style. Change that to sign. You can pick any easing style you want. I don't care. Then we're going to need the enabled size. Going to be 4.65. The disabled size going to be 0.01. 001. The emitter tween speed going to be 0.2. The enable cooldown, which is going to be the cooldown after we enable the lightsabers. Give me 1 second. And the disable cooldown. Make it a little bit shorter because it's kind of clunky if you don't. There are other variables. There's our booleans. The emitter enabled, false to start. The equipped is also going to be false. And the debounce is going to be false. Now, our constants. First, we're going to have the lightsaber equal to script.parent. Emitter equal to lightsaber.emitter. Blade lightsaber. And the blade size going to be blade dot size. Blade disabled size. Vector 3 dot new. And get the blade size as X. The disabled size, and then blade size dot Z. And copy this and paste it. Next line, the enabled size. It's gonna be the same thing, except it's enabled. And we're gonna need the blade motor equal to lightsaber dot handle dot motor. I mean that blade motor. Then the blade motor disabled. This is basically the emitters. What's that? The emitter parts motors, or the blade motors. C0. This is going to change like the position of the handle when it's anchored, or when the tool grip is gripping it. It's not going to like move it. It's just going to move the actual blade, because when we change the size of the blade, it's going to move it, but it's going to move it back with the blade motor. So I'm going to change that to blade motor. We're going to get the current C0, and that's going to add negative vector 3 dot negative. The enabled size divided by 2. And then 0, and then 0. We get particles is equal to script dot parent dot emitter part particles. And then our last constant, we're going to need KwintinF. It's going to be KwintinF dot new with the emitter tween speed and the easing style. Now, actually, we'll get some code. I'm going to set the lightsaber off to start. And that's going to be trying the transparency of the particles to number sequence new. If you just say transparency to 1, it's going to like bug out. Let's change it to number sequence 1, 1. Turn the particles off by turning false. It's not false. And the blade size is going to be equal to the disabled size. Blade disabled size. And then we're going to make the C0. Blade motor C0. It's going to be equal to blade motor disabled C0. Make everything set good. Now we're going to get our functions. First function is going to be the enable emitter. We're going to get our return ends. So if not equipped, or if debounce is enabled, then return an end. Good. If it passes this, then we're going to turn on the debounce. So debounce is true, so that when this is running, no other functions can run, and this can't be ran again. So it bugs it out. Now we need our tweens. It's going to be the blade tween. Make the properties first. We're actually make the tween. It's going to be equal to size. Going to be equal to the blade table size. I mean enable size. And then the actual blade tween going to be tween service create. We get the blade, KwintinF, and the blade tween properties that we just created. We're going to make the motor tween counteract the size, because when we just change the size, it's going to move it. We're going to move the weld so that it moves the blade back, and just so it just looks like it's going out. You'll see. I'm bad at explaining things, but motor tween properties is going to be equal to C0. Be changed in the disable C0 going to be equal to the blade motor's current C0 plus vector 3.new. We're gonna get the blade size slash y divided by 2, and then 0 and 0. This look pretty, and then create the motor swing. It's gonna be same thing, in service create, and the tween info and the motor tween properties. There we go. Now we're going to disable the backpack before we do the tweens. Re-enable it after. It's going to be starter GUI, set core GUI enabled, enum core GUI type backpack, and make it false. So it turns it off. Now we're going to turn the lightsaber on. Which is going to be particles transparency equal to number sequence dot new 0 and 0. So that turns transparency visible. Turn the particles on to true. Now we're going to play the tweens. So play tween, play, and then motor tween. Play. Now we're going to wait for blade tween to be completed. So blade tween completed. Wait. Just gonna wait for that. And once that's done, it's going to set the cooldown on. We're gonna say task wait, enable cooldown since we're enabling it. And then turn the backpack back on. We're just gonna copy and paste this and set this to true. Now, we're gonna set our variables. There's going to be emitter enabled. Set that to true since it's on now, and turn the debounce off so that it can be turned back off. False. Now, that's it for the emitter enable function. We're going to want to copy and paste this again for the disable function. Just going to rename this disable emitter. Change the blade tween properties to blade disable size. Change the motor tween properties to blade disabled C0. Going to be this. I'm going to change this off. So set this to 1 and turn the particles off. And we're going to change the enable cooldown to disable cooldown. And change the emitter enable to false since it's off now. Now, we're going to get our events so we can actually run these functions. Which is going to be lightsaber.equipped. So when it equips the lightsaber, it's going to connect to the function. We're going to set equipped to true. We're equipping it now. And we're going to get user input service input began. So whenever the player presses any button, it's going to connect and it's going to give us the input. And if the game is processed it already, like if they're in chat, I forgot to put the function. There we go. There we go. And if it was processed, and return end. Go. And if it isn't processed, then we're going to check the input. So if input.keycode, that's not input. If the key code is equal to emitter toggle key, then we're going to check if the emitter is enabled. So if the emitter is enabled, I'm going to turn it off. So disable emitter. And then otherwise, just enable the emitter. Because if the emitter is not enabled, then you turn it off. Now, let's see equipped function. Let's get the lightsaber dot unequipped. This one is unequipped. We're going to make this work so that whether the lightsaber is on or not, it's going to properly set it back up for when it is equipped again. So if the emitter is enabled, we're just going to make sure we're going to set the emitter enabled to false and set equipped to false. We're going to do the same code from up here. Turn the lightsaber off. Should be good. And now let's see if it works. Everything should be good. Yeah. There we go. Gonna equip it. If we go to turn it off, everything looks good. Now we're actually gonna make the holster. So we're gonna want to put an accessory in the workspace and name it lightsaber accessory, all one word, for ease of access in the script that we're gonna make. We're gonna take the main lightsaber parts, which is just the emitter, the handle, and the hilt. We're gonna copy it and move this out of the way and paste it into the lightsaber accessory. So now we should have just some parts for the handle and the emitter. And now we're going to disable these welds, and because they get deleted when you put them in a server storage, whatever. We're going to get some actual welds and set it to the handle, the emitter, name it emitter weld, and then do the same for the hilt, name it hilt weld. And now spawn in a rig so that we can make the actual holster attachment. Since I'm using R6, I'm going to make an R6 rig, and we're going to go into the rig and get the attachment. So it's going to be the waist center attachment. We're going to take it and put it, copy and paste it into the handle. So inside of the waist center attachment, we're going to change the orientation. Make sure you change the orientation of the position. So just put it somewhere. I'm going to change it to 0, 45, and then 90. No, I forgot. You have to put the accessory in the rig. And there we go. Now it's like basically on there. Go back into the waist center attachment. Control 2 to move, and we're going to move it down. Make sure you move it in small increments. It starts acting out the more you move it. There we go. That looks pretty good. It's kind of thick lightsaber. I like it. I don't care. Now, we're going to put this into server storage, and we can close the rig. Now, in the lightsaber, we're going to put a script. And we're going to name it script holstering. We're going to get our services. We're just going to need server storage for this. Should be equal to server storage. Our constants going to be tool for parent and the holster. Equal to server storage, find first child, tool dot name, and then we're going to put two periods so it concatenates it, just adds it together, and we're gonna add the string accessory. It's spelled right so that when it queries, it's gonna find lightsaber accessory. We're gonna get our create holster, so it actually, when we spawn it, puts it on hip. Set it up to. We're gonna take the holster and we're gonna make holster clone. Saying holster. Holster clone is equal to holster. And we're gonna put it on the player by saying holster clone dot parent equal to tool dot parent dot parent dot character. Should be good. And now we're gonna get our events so that when the tool is equipped, it's going to actually change the holster necessarily. Okay, so tool.equipped type function. And then, so if there's a holster clone, and we're gonna destroy it. This is now the tool's equipped. We don't want 2 lightsabers can spawn in. So holster clone destroy. And that should be good. Tool.unequipped for when it's unequipped. We're just going to copy and paste the code from over here. So it creates a holster. So now when it's unequipped, it creates the holster and puts on the character, and when it's equipped, it destroys it. Should be good. Now let's go see if it's working. Oh, what the hell? I forgot. So if once you put it in actual server storage, it like disables the welds for some reason. Just enable them back on. Everything should be working. There we go. We can turn it on, back off, on, flip it. Everything's good. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that. Let me get the E-dance. Where's that? Why is it not doing it? There we go. Yeah. Like and subscribe, comment any suggestions and feedback, and enjoy your lightsaber.